Hey, Alex. I'm doing some stuff here real quick, so it might take me a second to get going. If you can hear me. Yeah, I can hear myself now. Oh, let's see. Is it working still? All right, do those dishes. I don't know if this is... Well, it seems like I'm live. I'm trying to view my stream, but it's giving me a hard time. Let me know if you can hear me or not. I'm gonna close this out. I might have to do like a feedback loop thing real quick and hear it, but... Pick up Waterboy. Yeah, I'll probably pick up Waterboy in a minute. How you doing, Big Frank? Big Frank? Not familiar with the Big Frank, but this is not a normal stream here. Cool. Let me know if the music in the background's too loud. Awesome. This setup's a little weird right now. I would make this 4x3, but I can't. Yeah, so basically I made a craft table here for doing stuff like Labo stuff or, you know, replacing DVD drives and things like that. And so one thing I thought we'd do is go ahead and clean out some GameCube controllers. Actually, so these are in a box that I got from my sister. I think the reason they were in that box is because they didn't work. So I kind of see if they worked or not. And at least back in the day, a lot of what I used to do was Mario Sunshine always felt like a good game to kind of figure out like if there was an issue with a controller, because there's a lot of like a lot of movement to the game, like in terms of like, you know, it's very precise, unlike like a Phantasy Star where it's like specifically digital movement. Like in Phantasy Star, like no matter how far you go, like in a certain angle on the analog stick, you're always just going at a like specific angle or something like that. So I figured I'd go ahead real quick and see if these controllers are working properly. Let's go get that Waterboy. Yeah, camera movement and stuff like that too. So I feel like generally Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine, you can kind of use every button on the controller, with the exception of maybe like the D-pad. So and then once we finish doing this, I'll switch back over to the desk and we'll just start opening these controllers up. Even if they work, I'll go ahead and clean them out anyways. They may be kind of nasty inside, so be forewarned. But yeah, so I figured go ahead and try that. And then we got some First Kiss Story music in the background. There's some Private Idol music in there too. But mainly I just want to make sure that this laptop is not great, and I want to make sure it can stream. It can stream fine. And that it doesn't run into any problems really. Otherwise you wouldn't have like this thing. I don't know if you can tell, this actually looks awful on the screen right now. I don't know I don't know if it's because it's stretched, and I tried to put it to 4x3, but this TV doesn't have that option. So it's just like a random TV I have sitting around the place. So yeah, there's always some expected delay. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. 10 seconds isn't the worst, but I don't know if there's like a way I can reduce that really, honestly. I think that's just like a side effect on streaming on Twitch or YouTube. I think YouTube is significantly worse actually. So yeah, I don't think you can skip this cutscene. I seem to recall like a big gripe about speedrunning this game is that all these early cutscenes are not skippable. So, but yeah, this seems fine so far. I don't see any problems. The big thing is the analog stick. Just kind of want to see how this analog stick, you know, behaves. I remember a lot of time what would happen is like when you'd flick the stick, it would get like stuck going in a direction for too long on accident. So, but I think this this Spice Orange controller is fine. At least right now it's fine. So I think we can go ahead and get away from this one. Yeah. Okay. Let me switch over. I got 3 controllers here, so we'll swap over to all 3. You're probably gonna see me here a little bit. Ugh. I don't think there's any real issue with unplugging controllers on GameCubes. I know Dreamcast it's a big no-no. This is all tangled up. Yeah, I typically play on original hardware, is what I typically do. It's not... Emulator's fine, but like, I mean, I do emulator where I need to. But, you know, it's one of those things where I can never particularly tell, like, how a game is supposed to be behaving in a moment if I've never played it before. Obviously, it's maybe not as big a deal if you've played the game before. You can be like, oh, yeah, this problem isn't, like, actually a problem or something. But let me tap this, tap that, tap down. And then can we do slight walks? But, you know, in the case of DS games, because I don't have, like, an actual 3DS capture card or something like that, I have to go the emulator route with that. So... all these controllers are playing nice so far, which is good. Makes me think that there's not anything particularly wrong with them, but maybe like some gunk got stuck somewhere, and so in the past when I tried to use them, they were problematic then, but maybe not right there. So, okay, we got one more controller, and then we'll swap over to the desk and start cracking these things open. There. All right. It like turned around there for a little bit, so I'm not sure if that was just me overcompensating on the analog flick or what. Whoops. Get up there. Yeah, it's not a fun time getting these consoles working sometimes. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on, you know, I'm using an HDMI adapter for the GameCube. It's not the Eon one. I bought this one before the Eon one was announced, but it's great for doing 480p and stuff like that. Obviously this doesn't look great here, but you know, I'm not doing my normal setup. I'm in the other room, which is why I'm kind of in this weird setup, because there's not really in my main room where I usually stream from. There's not really space to do any kind of like table craft kind of stuff, at least in my current place. So it's just a table that's in my bedroom essentially, which my bedroom's kind of like half my storage room, as you might notice by those posters sitting on the floor. And to the right here, there's just like a bunch of stuff. There's a CRT over there and stuff. It's kind of a mess. Yeah, they yeah, I know these were definitely mine. I probably had about, you know, 8 or so GameCube controllers over the years, because I did run into problems with them when I was a kid, and so we'd replace them. And thankfully, my parents were very open and willing to replace these things. GameCube and Nintendo 64 were like my #1 like local multiplayer systems. So, well, yeah, these seem to be playing nice, which is good. I don't know. I think this is typical where Mario will kind of move forward when you're jetting. I don't think that's an issue with the analog stick, you know, slightly moving forward. So yeah, I think we'll just probably clean these, and then I'm guessing they're probably fine then. So again, these might be kind of gross on the inside, so be warned. They haven't been opened ever, so. All right. I need to get some paper towels actually real quick. I'm gonna change the exposure settings as well, so this will be a little better. Okay, so I got this light here. Let me throw a controller up here so we can get see what we're working with. Yeah, I do worry though, because like I have a PCFX and I'm looking at maybe getting like, you know, PC98 or something like that, and if there's problems with those things, there's not a lot of people in town who can really work on them. You know, because they're Japanese only consoles, and you know, people don't necessarily know what they're doing with them. Let's see what we got going on here. So one thing I wanted to kind of play with is seeing how, like, if I can do manual focus a little bit. And it's so choppy. Let me double check my camera settings here. What resolution is this set to? 720. I'm going to change the camera settings here real quick. Yeah, it's just really laggy. I'm guessing you guys can see that like blur effect that's happening there. At least on my side, it's very blurry. Let me see, is there anything I can do about that? Oops. Nope, that's not it. Let's open this here. I'm not sure what setting would be causing that. Like, I don't know if that's just an issue with the camera, like... Oh, that sucks. I think a lot of times with controllers, they just don't view it as worth it, really, to try to fix it. I'm gonna try disconnecting this camera real quick. So we're gonna lose video for a second here. Okay. I don't know if let me try removing it. It doesn't seem to be recovering from plugging it back in. Capture device. Yeah, I asked a local store about replacing the DVD drive of my Wii, and they're basically like, don't even bother. We could do something like this instead. That looks better already. I don't know why. I mean, it is a little blurry, but it's a lot better on my side at least. And maybe not doing like a widescreen aspect ratio is for the best. I don't know. Cuz like we're filling more space on the screen here right now. I don't know, we'll try that. Let me know what you guys think. All of this is just testing, so yeah, I don't know what it was doing. So it was being weird. I need to get paper towels, so I will be right back. I'm also gonna move my water up here. Move this over here. This chair is also very creaky noise. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm also going to filter some water real quick as well. Yeah, maybe it's the lighting. I really don't know if I need to get more lighting or what. Because I only have this one light that's off to the left over here. Like from this area. So. I'm not much of a cameraman. So. A video man. Like as much as I try to, you know, be good about you know, game footage and stuff like that. I'm not actually very good at like determining video quality and stuff like that. So, got our special Nintendo screws here. Are these using? This is a tri-wing, so these are for the cartridges, so I don't want to use those. Also not much of a handyman. I guess I should say right now, I'm not, this is not a tutorial on how to fix and clean your GameCube controllers. I'm not here to show you how to do that. It's more of just I'm testing some stuff, and I would do this anyways, and maybe I'll destroy my GameCube controllers on accident, but we shall see. All these things will probably be very much just like, hey, I'm doing this, but doesn't mean you should do it. Is this the right one? I think maybe this is the right one. I think these might be labeled actually. No, they're not. Never mind. This doesn't feel large enough to open these. I've definitely opened these GameCube controllers before, so I know I've done it. Whoops, dropping stuff. But none of these are fitting right. I don't think I have another one. I don't think this is it either. No, it's a star. Oh, here's this screwdriver. I've been looking for this screwdriver for months. I do have some compressed air, yeah. I not bring it over here, but I do have some. Yeah. Maybe we're at a stopping point already if none of these screwdrivers work. I might need to go look to see if I have a larger version of the tri-wing, because none of these are working. This is the smallest one, so for sure it's not that one. Let me just double check. Yeah, I guess I can grip it with that one. I just worry that I'm stripping the screws or something. Yeah, these screws are nasty, man. Alrighty. So this screwdriver seems to work. And I dropped my little plastic tray for these screws. Unfortunately, I haven't bought any specific cameras for this, so like the focus and stuff doesn't really, like, these cameras that I'm using are like not known for their ability to focus. If anything, they're known for their ability to not focus. So, which is maybe my biggest concern doing this kind of stuff. But I don't really like feel like I good enough about doing this yet before I invest in like an actual camera for this. Like, this is supposed to be a very cheap setup to do this, so I think I figured out last time that I'd want to kind of like pull the camera back a little bit, make it a little easier for you guys to see what I'm doing rather than my hands and stuff being in the way. So, but yeah, it's not particularly easy either way. Maybe I should just not hold the thing. Oh, going flying. But yeah, I might go grab that compressed air depending on how bad it is, but these controllers are so old. I mean, many children, including myself as a child, put our grubby little hands on these controllers, so. And my hands kind of suck. I've probably talked about this before, but like, my hands are dead skin central. I hate it. And like, washing my hands kind of helps, but I seem to just like shed dead skin like crazy. I don't know why. I've had people recommend me do lotion and stuff to try to prevent it a bit more. But my controllers get real funky real fast, so I have to clean them pretty often. Not the insides, but just, you know, wiping the outsides off. This screw does not want to come out. Played through pretty much all of Lost Kingdoms yesterday. It's a pretty short game. I think the in-game timer is like 8 hours or 3 hours, but the recording time I did was probably closer to like 5 hours. So, man, this thing is not playing nice. How about this? I don't really care if this thing closes. I'm sure there's probably like actual things that hold screws better, but I'm just gonna snap the top off this thing so it doesn't fall backwards anymore. It's just like a pencil case somebody gave me, or like somebody gave me a pen, like a tiny pen, and it came in there. So okay, so we got these 4 screws. There's 2 more screws right up here that we got to grab. So gonna do that. But yeah, I'm thinking it's probably what's going to be happening on this table is maybe we can do some Labo stuff, and maybe work on replacing some components and some broken consoles I have. Worst case scenario, you know, I probably flip this around, make it a little easier for you guys to see. Worst case scenario, you know, a lot of the stuff already, well, these controllers work, but a lot of the consoles are not in like a position I can use them, and so like if I actually break them, then well, I wasn't using them anyways. And it's stuff like the Wii or something where there's plenty of them out there that I think there's no real concern about, like, oh, you broke it and now there's like one less in the world kind of thing. Although sometimes I do like feel a little weird about, you know, people splitting their DSs in half to make them Game Boy machines. I think it's cool, but at the same time, just like, I wonder if it happens enough that this screw does not want to come out. That you know, you're reducing the population of the DS, but the DS is literally one of the most prolific pieces of game hardware in the world. So, alrighty, I already see all the funk inside. So let's go ahead and open this up. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So we got our triggers right here. We got our rumble pack there. And then just some other stuff. So let's see if we can get this out of there. Let's see, let's grab it by the motor and try. Actually, I feel like I've read not to grab it by the motor, so okay, we got a Z button there. Is there anything else I want to try to... I don't think it's screwed on in any way, so I should be able to just pop it out. There we go. Oh, we got some private idle music. Okay. Easy enough. Now you guys probably can't really see. A little bit of funk in here. All right. Stuff. Yeah, I haven't messed with batteries much yet, so I am a little scared of batteries since they are not just like plastic and components. You can see some of the gunk that got right there. I need to buy more rubbing alcohol at some point. Rather than use paper towel, let's use this cloth. This controller is pretty clean, but I figure just kind of get a little wiping down real quick. It's not really a big problem. Just using a little rubbing alcohol. I kind of use rubbing alcohol for kind of everything now. Hello, junk. Let me get this trash can over here. I think that might have been in this cloth, honestly. It looked like a piece of dryer lint, which I don't think the GameCube controller had in it. But, yeah, it's rubbing alcohol is very handy. I also try to use, like, softer cloths now. I feel like using rubbing alcohol with like a harder material like a paper towel can cause some damage. Could be wrong about that, but I definitely noticed like when I clean game cases off using rubbing alcohol, like a case might get a bit more rough. So. Oh, interesting. I'd imagine as long as you're not like, you know, disassembling the battery itself, you're probably fine. So, inside of this thing's actually not too bad. This is, let me get the Q-tip for this. Sorry, I'm not really looking at the screen either, so if I'm getting my hands all in the way of you guys seeing stuff, that's something I'm just going to have to, you know, build up over time, the ability to do that without blocking your guys' sight. Also, I don't really know the best way to like keep this desk organized without just looking like a mess. There's a bunch of gunk in here, if you can see. Nice and yellow. But then like this area right here, I don't know if I'm really going to be able to get down in there super well. A little bit, but I'm probably just like compacting some of this stuff. Just like, hey, shove it in the corners even more. I don't really have like a fine tool here. I did bring my pocket knife just in case I need to kind of like scratch away at something, but for the most part, it's kind of this. Hi Arsis, how you doing? Surprised how many people showed up, or people I don't typically see in here show up for me just cleaning some GameCube controllers. This is nothing professional though. This is just me doing this because I need to test out some setup stuff. So, but yeah, it's pretty well. I don't really have a ton to say, honestly. Most of my week has been busy. Afraid if I asked, but how are you doing, Arsis? Doing good? And Alex, do you go back to school here in a minute? I think you said like Friday might be your last day off, so I assume that was last Friday, or you know, the Friday of this week that happened already, I guess. All right, I think this is generally pretty clean. I'm gonna stop using this side because it's kind of gross. Let's see. We got a little bit of a mess down here. Yeah. These have been sitting in a box for I don't know how long. At least the last 4 years. So, I had done some of this during my Yakuza 2 stream of all things. I was sitting there like cleaning controllers out, and I was doing like a bit of PS2 controller cleaning too and stuff. But PS2 controllers are kind of finicky little things. This honestly hasn't been too bad. I've had some worse GameCube controllers sitting around. Admittedly, because these have been sitting in a box for years, maybe they just weren't used a ton. This A button for sure needs a little clean. So let's go ahead and throw this up here. This Friday you have school. Gotcha. I'm doing good, thanks. I went ahead and some of the music you're listening to here is ripped from Private Idol and First Kiss Story that I did this weekend. So I ripped those. I a Windows 95 screensaver disc for Private Idol that I went ahead and put or I kind of like researched it. I put it in my Windows 95 image. This is a wet Q-tip. I know some of this probably doesn't mean anything to you. Alex knows what I'm talking about with Private Idol at least, but yeah. So I did that, and kind of I had to compare the PCFX version of the Private Idol OVA to the Windows 95 version. So did a bit of that. That was a good time. So I made a Twitter thread about it, but I haven't actually archived it really. I need to make like a post about the Windows 95 disk. I also need to put it on archive.org. Let's see. I brought that pocket knife over here for some of these weird spots. Question is, where did I put that pocket knife? I'm about ready to just use this flathead screwdriver here real quick as a replacement. This tiny flathead screwdriver. Just a little gunk like in between here. I regret spending $50 on that desktop accessories disc, but somebody had to do it. Although I did see somebody listed one for $14 today. I was like, ah. So. What's a Dolphin sensor bar? Is it like a third-party sensor bar that uses Bluetooth or something? Or wireless? I really haven't messed with GameCube emulation at all. Someone I'm following who's like super into Lost Kingdoms is doing some stuff, but I probably should, because it's a lot easier to like, you know, pull files. Like I really want to get the Phantasy Star Online card data off there, like the images from those, but I'd have to like load them up as individual textures and save them that way, which, you know, would probably be hundreds and hundreds of cards. So, okay. I feel generally pretty good about the state of this A button. B button's generally fine. I'm gonna get rid of this Q-tip over here. Grab another one. Oh, it's a third-party sensor bar. Gotcha. Yeah, I figured it was. I only have the official sensor bar, but that uses that little, I assume, a proprietary connection or one that, you know, typically isn't like something you'd connect to a PC. So I have no idea what type of connection that thing is. I think we could just do this one dry. It is lovely seeing GameCube games running in like 720p though and stuff like that, or 1080. That's really nice. I definitely, whenever people ask me about Xenoblade Chronicles, I encourage them to play it on Dolphin, because it sounds like the Dolphin version of Xenoblade Chronicles, or not Dolphin version, but the emulation of Xenoblade Chronicles on there is really solid. Or at least I've seen people play it on there, and it seems really good overall. Yeah, I love the Wii. I think really like I'm a big fan of like low polygon graphics and stuff, but I'm not a big fan of low resolutions. Like so when people make those new like 3D games, like there's like some survival horror game called like This Is 1996 or something like that, and they just like they do like a fake like bad resolution, low resolution kind of effect, and that just does nothing for me. I really hope like going forward, if low polygon becomes an aesthetic, if they do low resolution, they do it as a option and not as like the standard. So, because I'd much rather see the low polygons really clear and crisp. But when it comes to accuracy, you know, I have to do the low resolution. Like when I'm streaming DS games, I technically could bump up the resolution by 2 times. But for performance reasons, it's not great and then B, it's not how the game is accurately portrayed on the original system. So. What kind of Wii games do you like outside of the big ones like I don't want to sound pretentious or something, but like I know if you like Zelda, Skyward Sword, Mario Galaxy, stuff like that, those are kind of the main big ones. But do you have anything else in terms of games you like that are maybe not super well known? I'm a big fan of the Wii. So like anytime anybody has like some games they really loved, I like hearing about it. So yeah, Mario Galaxy looks great. Nintendo 3DS stuff up-res also looks pretty amazing. This thing's good. I don't need to do much more with that. D-pad. It could use. Let me get some rubbing alcohol for this one. I have, I think, about 80 Wii games at this point. Maybe more now. I definitely buy quite a few now. I just got done playing Wii Ski, which I thought was really interesting game by Bandai Namco. It's basically like a ski resort thing. I think Alex has played Wii Ski as well. How do you feel about the Wii versions of Sonic games, Alex? Like Sonic Unleashed and was there Sonic Generations on Wii? I don't think there's a Sonic Generations on Wii. I think it might just be Sonic Unleashed on Wii. And then obviously, the unique titles like Sonic Colors, I can speak. Although there is a DS version of Sonic Colors, so I guess it's not technically exclusive, but the game design is probably significantly different, so yeah. This Spice Orange controller is mostly fine. I'm not going to mess with that either. Just going to leave that be. Start button. Do a little wipe here. All right, this does need a cleaning. I don't know if I've used rubbing alcohol in this material before, so hopefully it doesn't cause any problems. There's just like little yellow powdery bits all over this. I'm sure just dead skin that's accrued over time. Or other dirts and gunks. Ah, you came from the Spectros review. Oh, I think I did see you comment recently, and I think I responded to you. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that, Alex. So if I were to play Sonic Unleashed, that version of Sonic Unleashed, because I think the PS2 and the Wii version are very similar, right? So if I were to play that, I should play the PS2 release of Sonic Unleashed. Outside of obviously the 360 and PS3 one. Yeah, I got it on 360 for about $1 a little while ago, so I have a lot of Sonic games that are sitting on my shelf. I'm gonna play Sonic Riders. I think I thought about playing some tonight, but I ended up doing this instead. I have Sonic and the Black Knight and then Shadow the Hedgehog, as well as Sonic Unleashed. And do I have Sonic Free Riders? I don't think I have Sonic Free Riders. I have a Kinect, but I don't think I have any Kinect games now that I think about it. There's also Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, right? That's Wii and PS2, 2, I think. I'm honestly like Arsis, like I'm surprised that Spectrum's video still gets reviews. It's like, I don't know, that thing's like 4 years old now, and it's still probably the most popular thing I've done. Which I'm glad people are enjoying it. I do worry sometimes that, like, you know, I like a lot of diversity in the games I play. This stuff right here is not coming off. Let me get this. It'll do. I like a lot of diversity in the games I play. So like I worry that when people come to my channel and they're like, "Hey, do more stuff like Spectrobes," and I'm like, I'm gonna talk about this other garbage that I want to talk about. I don't make money, so I basically just do what I want with my channel. It'd be different if I was like aiming for a particular audience, but my audience is basically me. Like that's my target audience, is what kind of video do I want to make and what would I watch, kind of thing. Oh boy, I'm worried about that. Let me I think I got a little too much rubbing alcohol right here. I don't know what components are inside these triggers, so I don't want to accidentally mess with that stuff too much. So, where is this? I'm honestly probably getting too much rubbing alcohol on some of this stuff, so let me see if I can kind of dry it off a little bit. It's just slightly moist. Let's try that. There we go. It's coming off. I feel like the Shaman King video is like the next thing that people who watch my Spectrobe videos typically go and see. I think there's a little overlap between the Shaman King and Spectrobe's kind of stuff, or at least it's like aesthetically fairly similar. Oh, thanks for watching them all. I appreciate it. I wish there were more, but I took a pretty big break on videos for a while. And then people kept asking me where my videos were. Meanwhile, I was writing articles and getting like 3 views on my articles. So I was like, well, if people really want videos, I should give them that. I'm just using my desk as like a dumping ground right now. We'll wipe this up in a second here. So... There's 2 on DS, Alex. There's Beyond the Portals, and then there's the original one. I think so. I'm in a Spectrobe's Discord group, and I get the feeling that the original Spectrobes, even among Spectrobe's fans, is maybe not the most beloved thing. Like I think people like it, but like compared to Beyond the Portals and Origins, it's maybe not quite loved. I could be wrong about that, though. I don't know. I haven't played. I don't even have the original Spectrobes. I have Beyond the Portals, but I have not played it. So, trying to get some of this harder gunk out of here. Also, there's not a ton of music on this playlist, so my apologies if it's super repetitive. I just kind of grabbed whatever music I knew was around and would be fairly relaxing. I probably would need to build a playlist or figure out what other people do for music on these kind of streams. Thank you, Arsis. I appreciate it. Consistency was a problem for many years, so I made a lot of different types of videos and I put them out really inconsistently. So I feel like I'm finally at the point where I'm very happy with the quality of my videos. I feel like 2015 was maybe the last like push of me trying to figure out what I wanted to do with videos, and unfortunately I don't recall too much about the Spectrobes video. But the Aconcagua video really became the template for what types of videos I do. And I'm pretty happy with them, which, you know, I know some people miss the skits and stuff. But But in terms of like, you know, long-term value of those videos and, you know, educational value, maybe educational value is too I'm forgetting the word I'm looking for. I feel stuck up if I say educational value. But, you know, like I feel like I'm being more informative with the current videos I'm doing, and it may not be as funny per se, but you know, I'm trying to keep it lively. If I have any like weird quirks in my voice or something when I'm doing reads, or like when I originally write it, I have kind of like a weird reaction to it in terms of how I say it. I'll try to keep that present, but I don't know if that just comes off as not genuine or something. So. Yeah, I want to play Beyond the Portals. I got it running on the Wii U, so I wanna sit down and do that sometime. But it's not a priority right now. But I would really like to check it out sometime. I think Yokai Watch is probably going to be the next thing I check out. I have Yokai Watch 3, so I'll probably check that out at some point. I originally thought maybe I'd go and play all of Yokai Watch, but I just thought about like really what I want to play is Yokai Watch 4 because it does take the more action approach like Spectrobe's Origins does a little bit, and sorry if it doesn't seem like there's like a lot of rhyme or reason to what I'm cleaning here. I'm kind of just eyeing it as I go. I'm not thinking about it too much, but I don't know if I'd have the patience to play Yokai Watch 1 3 all of them, so I might just jump straight to 3. So although 3 has that weird localization thing where the game is all about going to the US, but in the America or English version they were already in the US, so now you go to like barbecue land or something silly like that. Yeah, don't feel like you gotta stick around. I appreciate you taking your time to come. But yeah, it's just I don't really know how long I'm gonna be streaming, but yeah, at 3 a.m. is pretty late on the on Germany time. If you guys have any feedback regarding the like the setup of the stream and everything, let me know. I realize that video quality and lighting might not be great because I'm just basically reusing other stuff I have around the house for this stuff. Like this camera does not like to focus, and I only have one light here right now. If you think like a second light would be useful, let me know if you think of anything. But I can only really do 720p on this this PC I'm using as well, so. Fortunately, there's some limitations based off how I had to do this setup, but you know, I don't know how much people actually care about what I'm doing with my hands versus just, you know, just being here. More chill chat stream, I guess. Although I feel like I am having trouble like paying attention to the chat, so. But yeah. It'd be nice if there's like a kind of a successor to Spectrobes, but I feel like Spectrobes is kind of it's got its following, but I doubt anybody would ever revive it. I don't think Disney's interested in original IPs for video games either, and I assume Disney still holds the rights to Spectrobes. So, all right. Well, is there anything we want to do here? I guess this probably isn't the proper way to hold this, but we're holding it like this right now. Okay, we got this thing here. I think these holes just line up on each other when I put these back on. Let me take this stick off real quick. Could do a little cleaning under the rim here. The stick itself, though, seems fine. I might just do like a quick rub around here real quick just to make sure there's nothing in there. But I think we're generally pretty good here. Honestly, I'm probably doing more bad than good with using a Q-tip that's going to get its little fibers everywhere. Already seeing little fibers. Is that dirt? I can't tell. And there's a little bit of dirt on here. Just gonna do like a little soft rub down of this thing. I am picking some stuff up going up and down this thing, so some of it I think is just the fibers coming off this Q-tip though. I think we're generally pretty good. I might blow this off before I put it back in, so. Oh yeah, text to speech. We could try that. Do the Nico style. Yeah, we could. I don't know. Think about it. I'll have to look into see what other people do. I guess I should state, and I have this in the what's it called for my video, but Disney used to be a customer of my current employer, so. I doubt anybody at work would ever harass me if I spoke ill of Spectrobe's origins, though, or Spectrobe's franchise as a whole. But I do genuinely like Spectrobe's origins a lot. I wish there was more games like it, but I can't think of too much, to be honest. I don't know if THQ Nordic wants Spectrobes, but they've also bought some other kind of silly stuff in the past, so I would be pretty amazed if somebody bought Spectrobes. That, or if Disney actually sold it. I don't imagine Disney would want to give up any of their IP, especially something that small. So, but it's cool. It's a cool series. I'm glad it got made. You know, I think it's neat that somebody took like a more action approach to like Pokemon essentially. I'm gonna get this thing out of here. We don't really need it here anymore. The camera's like freaking out while I'm doing this. It's like, I don't know what to focus on. I need to figure out how to use my other microphone better, because it's just a headset mic. I do have a Yeti over in my other room that I use for like the podcast and any kind of pre-recorded material, but anything live or if it's like a quick play where I'm actively playing while talking about a game, I have a hard time using it. Yeah, I think Beyond the Portal sold okay, but it was like literally half the sales of the original, if I recall correctly. So like things did not look good for that. Oh yeah, I was gonna. At least there's a lot of like kind of Pokemon clones out there, but I do think Spectrobes is something particularly special, and I do think Origins like did a lot. Like I'm really, even though Origins didn't sell, I'm glad they got the chance to make that, because you can really tell those developers like used every little bit of the Wii's hardware as possible with that thing. So like it's a great looking game on that platform. Yeah. At least it's not hard to open them up. They're pretty easy. So I'm hoping whatever was causing this controller to not work in the past was just some dirt or something, because I'm not really seeing anything wrong with this thing. So hopefully it continues to work going forward. If not, I'd only suspect that maybe this guy, like if there's something wrong with the actual analog stick component, is maybe what the issue was. Get a little bit of canned air real quick and just blow this thing off. I'll probably mute myself so you guys don't get to hear it, but I have to go get it real quick, so I'll be right back. want to spare you guys from the canned air. You'd like to take a listen? Okay, I can. That's the sound of it. So, yeah, nothing fancy. There's like glue on this thing. My original Wii, yeah, I did. The disk drive on it doesn't work anymore, but I did homebrew it back in the day to play Disaster Day of Crisis and another Code R I played on there, and what else? Imported some other stuff. I imported Xenoblade Chronicles because I didn't think Nintendo America was going to bring it out here. So this is X, so that goes over here. It's been a while since I put one of these back together, so it might be a little bit of trial and error as we reassemble this thing. I don't think there's any... Oh yeah, there's a direction on this, kind of. There's like a little indent on the side of here. I know it's probably hard to tell. But I don't see anything that really matches up on it in the GameCube controller itself, so maybe we won't worry about it too much. Just drop it in there. I did buy a second Wii U and then modified my Wii U. That's how I played Spectrobes on the Wii U for a bit. So one of the admins of that Spectrobes group asked me to make a tutorial of how I did that with Beyond the Portals, like getting a higher resolution out of the Wii U version. But honestly, I don't really know the value of it since I mean, you can play it on emulator and it looks fine. So which one's which? Is it this? There we go. This is gonna go up. Okay. This is a little yellowed, but it's still together, so I'm not too worried about it. I don't know if this is First Kiss Story music, or I think this is First Kiss Story. I think this is the credits music from the game. Come on. Come on! There we go. Yeah, I had a situation with my Wii and unfortunately lost a lot of Virtual Console stuff, so you know, but you know, that's how it happens sometimes. So at least like all that stuff is gone, so you know, I paid my money, so if I go and like you can get Virtual Console stuff fairly easily if you pirate it, so I don't feel too bad about you know. Oh, we lost our Z button there. I don't feel too bad about like loading the VC ROMs onto my Wii or something like that because I've already paid for them in the past. The only problem is just that Nintendo won't let me re-download them. So. What's the best way to do this? Try and get this Z button to stick. Is this right? Yeah, that's right. Like, I'm worried that it's not staying in the controller. It doesn't really feel like it's going in there, to be honest with you. Okay. All right. I think this wire we want to wrap around here. And then do something like that. And so these triggers are a little funky. If I recall correctly, what I want to do is hold the triggers down when I put it in. Maybe not, because these are up. Maybe I'm thinking of the PS2 controllers. Okay. Alright, that feels good. So that doesn't look right though. I don't know if the Z button's sitting right in there. A little damage on this controller right here. So I guess the question is what's preventing this side of the controller from closing? Or is it just the fact that it's not like screwed shut, so it's not sitting right? But I feel like the Z button is not. It feels good when I press it. Let's try just screwing it back in and we'll see what happens. If it's still kind of bulging after we screwed it in, then we'll take it apart again and try. Yeah, both the Wii and the Wii U seem like great homebrew platforms. I didn't play a lot of Mario Kart Wii Online when it came out. I was not a huge Mario Kart Wii fan. Not in general, I guess I should say I'm not a big fan of Mario Kart since the Wii one. The focus on like drifting has always been a thing in Mario Kart, but in the Wii one it became like every single turn is like full on drift. Yeah, this still isn't fitting right. You can tell. Look at that. It's like sticking out. Yeah, it's just not sitting right in there. Question is why? Hearing Discord noises in the other room. I'm a big fan of Excite Truck, though, on the Wii. That's probably my favorite racing game on the Wii so far. I haven't played Excite Bots yet, but I've only heard good things about it. I think this is good other than just the Z button's not sat in there correctly right now. Question is how do we get it to sit in correctly? Is the Z button upside down? Let's ask that question first. The bump is on the outer edge. Okay, that's accurate. The bump should be on the outer edge. So is it something to do with how this is sitting in here is getting in the way? This feels like it's sitting flush. That down in there. Mario Kart Wii is still a good game, though. Don't get me wrong. You'll find pretty quickly that I have a lot of weird opinions on very popular games, so for better or for worse. Okay, that feels right. Okay. This feels good. Yeah, that's the thing is like it's to be an effective driver of Mario Kart, drifting has always been the best thing to do. But it made it feel like the regular turns are almost completely useless now. And it's made it difficult for me with playing with other like people that aren't super familiar with Mario Kart games, where they have a hard time wrapping their mind around the drift stuff. And so they added auto drift to the game, which is nice, but I think they just, like, when people play the game, they don't really expect it to control the way it does. At least these are my experiences. So, these are people that I've probably been playing Mario Kart with since, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, probably more Nintendo 64 than anything, because, Super Nintendo does have that kind of slide drift too, so it's a weird thing. Super Nintendo Mario Kart and Super Circuit all kind of control in their own weird way. There we go. Y button's not pressing. I'm not surprised anybody went on a tangent about Mighty Number 9. I have a lot of good friends who actually do like Mighty Number 9 to some extent, but are very unhappy with how it turned out still. And I get it. I think the big thing though is that, like, the difference between, like, these people I talk to that they've played the game, they recognize the good points of it and all that stuff, versus some other people. Is this actually right? Because this has like a little stub thing on it that's not going to anything. I mean, that looks accurate. Should this, like, there's a hole right here, but there's no post for it. There's just that one right there. That presses down fine. I feel like there's a smarter way to put these controllers back together, but I can't remember what it was. Okay. For some reason, the Y button's still very stiff right up here. Like, the X, B, and A button press all the way in, but the Y button just sticks. So it's definitely not that, because that does press up out of the way. So it has to do something with what this is doing. So is it because of the Z? Okay, that feels good right there. Okay, let's try this. This might be my favorite First Kiss story song. It's the epilogue music for when you beat a character story and get like a post game. I forgot the Z button. All right, let's try that again. The only problem with text to speech, thinking about it, is that I'm actually playing this audio via what's it called? like desktop audio that I'm just capturing. So I might have to figure out a different way to do audio, unless you guys want to hear the text-to-speech stuff. But okay, I do see the chat's moving though, so I apologize for not really giving it the time of day right now as I try to figure out what's going on with this controller. Let me see. Recent stuff about Mega Man 0. Change about Mighty number 9. Mega Man 0 is it's definitely different from your traditional Mega Man game. Because it's a melee focused game, you know, like inherently how you approach enemies is very different from Mega Man or Mega Man X even. So it is different. But you know, I think the big thing with the Mega Man franchise is that, like, you know, it's really cool that all the Mega Man games of their own, like, you know, franchise, or like their own series, like, you know, Mega Man Battle Network is completely different from Mega Man X, or Mega Man Z. And you know, Mega Man Z, even though it's you know, unlike Battle Network, which is like a card game kind of thing, you know, Mega Man Zero is, you know, it is a traditional 2D action platformer, but because of the character and how he's built, you know, it plays significantly differently. And that's, like, I think one of the great things about the Mega Man series is that, like, every series is just unique in its own way. The problem being is that, you know, when you play 11 of those Mega Man games of the original Mega Man, a lot of them are very similar. But you know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, I'm a big Castlevania fan, so I can see all the differences between all the, you know, post Symphony of the Night DS games and GBA games, where somebody else would look at them and say, oh, they're just, you know, Symphony of the Night clones. It's like, oh, they're much more than that. But it's because I've invested the time and effort into that series. So yeah. But you know, it's I understand people's frustration with Mighty Number 9, but a lot of the more popular complaints about Mighty Number 9, there's stuff that you can be applied to old Mega Man, and you know, I think there's something to be said about, you know, design wise, you know, that Mega Man is, you know, those are older games, so maybe we're more forgiving to those versus something new. But you know, I think some people consider Mega Man games like timeless classics, you know, and so it's strange that you'd complain about Mighty Number 9's implementation of instant deaths, but then when Mega Man does it, it's okay. But I think a lot of it comes down to familiarity, like Flashman stage or whatever it's called. Is it Flashman, the one that has like the beams of light that go across the stage and instantly kill you? Like if you do that the first time, like in the same way I did it the first time, you jump down to that first floor, and you know, his beam comes out and just murders you immediately. And there's nothing wrong with that per se. Like that's just kind of how the game is designed, and because the stages are very short and easy to get through, you know, it's easy to kind of you know, it's easy to kind of just like dust your pants off and keep going. I think I use that exact same terminology in the video. That took like an hour. So I don't know. Maybe the other ones won't take as long. I have 2 more GameCube controllers here, but maybe we'll only do 1 more. I have enough black working GameCube controllers, so let's do the purple one. Let me also wipe this off a little bit more. But it looks like everything's going fine, though, so that's good. I do see I have some dropped frames, about 239. I don't know when that happened, but I don't think it's a real concern, probably. The only big issue with like doing Nintendo Labo stuff is that a lot of the stuff is on the screen itself for the Switch, so I'd either have to find a way to capture the screen for the Labo as well, or put the Switch down on here, and so you guys could watch it while I go through it. Well, let me say this about the low dash. The low dash is a feature of that game that is not particularly used very often, and then so to suddenly require you to use it, it's strange. It's like a pretty late in the game. It's like, oh, here's this feature I've basically forgotten about because the game hasn't asked me to use it for 4 or 5 hours, and I think it's it really was a problem because they had to add that text on screen that said, hey, do the lower dash. Even I, as somebody who really likes Mighty Number 9, definitely got caught up on that part. So, but at the same time, it's also one time in a stage that it happens, or 2 times in a stage that happens. So sitting there and putting that as a crux of the game, sure, it's bad design, but absolutely, this game is a problem kind of thing. I question it. So, but me, I'll always say that game has its flaws, for sure, but people just give it a hard time. And I don't blame people over the backlash on Kickstarter stuff, because the Kickstarter stuff was crappy as far as I could heard from people. I wasn't invested in it. I don't really know what went on during that time, but nobody was happy with how it was handled, and I really can't blame them for that. Oh no. I have some PS1 games from a friend's house that are sitting around here. I offered to give them back to him a while ago, but he said he didn't want them anymore. Sorry, she said. As Crash Bandicoot, what else was it? 2 Extreme, some other stuff. I've lost a couple games to some friends. Super Monkey Ball for the Nintendo GameCube. No, not Super Monkey Ball. Sorry, Star Wars Rogue Squadron. I lost that game. I lent it to a friend and he never gave it to me. Gave it back to me. So. Did I get that screw already? It feels like I might have. How many screws I got here? 4? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really mind the lack of tutorials, but some games do need them. Full Spectrum Warrior is a game that definitely needs a tutorial. I wish I could do a Full Spectrum Warrior video, but I honestly think that it'd be very much just like a self-fulfilling video. I don't think anybody wants to see a video about Full Spectrum Warrior, but I absolutely want to make one. That's a cool game. I like it a lot. What generation, Arceus? I feel like Nintendo is very, very popular right now. But maybe it's among, I'm almost 30, so I think a lot of people online that I follow might be around my age. So I don't know what the kids are into these days. Them and their Fortnites. I feel like Switch is a popular console though. Like I can't think of too many people who, when I was a kid, like being a GameCube fan or something like that, was not a particularly popular thing. Back then people were still, being like, oh, my games have to be so adult and edgy kind of thing. So I hope I didn't lose that start button. I saw something fly up there. Oh boy. That's what I get for dumping stuff out rather than actually taking it out bit by bit. Oh, let's see. Well, we'll look for it here in a little bit. We'll get back to that. All right, what do we got going on here? So this is a little more grungier on the inside. Early 2000s, so that's like it's like 18 and 19-year-olds now. I'm surprised Fortnite or Call of Duty's popular among the kids. I feel like Call of Duty's been a dying franchise for a while now. I mean, it's still definitely one of the highest grossing franchises of the, you know, of the world. but I don't know. I felt like Call of Duty's was my dad's kind of game, you know. My dad plays Call of Duty even, and I'm 30, so. I like the original Call of Duty a lot. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Let me get this garbage off my screen. I can't see your chat. What business practices don't you like, Alex? Mm-hmm. Well, I will say, you know, if anything, you know, people who are playing games in my generation show that, you know, over time, people's tastes in games change. You know, I would say among 30-year-olds and stuff, like Nintendo's a very popular platform. People who are older too, like Giant Bomb over there, they are really big fans of Nintendo Switch, and they're all like, you know, good 15, 20 years older than me, I think, in a lot of cases. So they're, you know, mid 40s or something like that. So I wouldn't worry too much about what other people play. You know, if they enjoy it, that's fun. You'll always have like periods in your life though where, like, you know, I don't know how into games you are, Arceus, but sorry, is Arceus Arceus? Arceus? I haven't really paid too much attention to the spelling of it, but you know, there's always people who are in that things, and Nintendo is, you know, maybe at one of their peak fan base times right now, you know, outside of maybe the Wii. I mean, with Wii they had mainstream, you know, appeal, where I feel like the Nintendo Switch is maybe not that mainstream appeal, but it's very close, at least among, you know, people who are game savvy. Did we finally run out of music? Yeah. Yeah. Those are all very Nintendo-like strategies. So I'm not too opposed to low-powered hardware. Although, you know, I do, if it's a third-party title, I definitely make my decisions on that stuff. You know, like Switch games that are multi-platform typically don't run well. So I typically don't buy many Switch games Switch games that are multi-platform. Gunvolt was the one exception because, you know, they already had Gunvolt running at 60 frames per second on Switch. So I figured, you know, if they're porting Gunvolt from the Switch to the PS4 version might be more likely to have some issues. So, not a big fan of Sony's policies right now in terms of, you know, blocking games from coming out in the West. So, I get why they're doing it. I don't think it comes from a bad place, but not particularly happy with it either. Oh yeah, for sure. Wii U's like, you know, being a fan of the Nintendo during the Wii U era was very much, you know, the same as being a fan of probably Nintendo during the GameCube era. You know, you're basically last place. And, you know, people typically, I'd imagine kids probably, you know, who I'd imagine are very judgmental of the type of games you play and stuff, are probably probably weren't too hot on Nintendo at that time, and if you played Wii U stuff, maybe somebody would poke fun at you, but thankfully a lot of that stuff doesn't really matter. I'm not gonna say when I was a kid, I definitely was into console wars kind of thing, especially between Nintendo DS and PSP. When I was like 14 or 15, I was a very, very strong Nintendo fanboy. Would fight to the death for them. So it's a little harder to see the gunk on this one. I'm finding it, but the purple is hiding it a little bit. So. Oh yeah, man. I mean, you're welcome to the nostalgia age thing. I mean, everybody is. That's just kind of how things go. Nintendo GameCube is definitely getting more expensive. It is much more desirable. I see the start button. I found where it fell. I don't know where the little plasticky thing is for it. It might be on the controller still, actually. But yeah. I will say, as somebody who's been on the internet since, maybe I should say engaged in video game discussions on the internet since 2004, I've learned to stop complaining about Nintendo. Nintendo does their bullshit. Sorry, I shouldn't curse. Nintendo does their garbage, and, at some point you're like, yep, Nintendo's doing the thing they do. And, I'm not going to sit there and say, like, oh, Nintendo should get, like, a pass for it. But it's not worth getting up in arms about. I definitely will complain about it if that's the case. So very few things in video game industry are worth getting up in arms about, outside of, the stuff that is happening that has real world effects on people. I'm not going to sit there and tell you what's right or wrong in that area, but, like labor stuff, union kind of stuff. Like I don't know what the right answer is for those things, but those are conversations that are real conversations. And because they're real conversations, I'm very much of the mind that video game journalists do not have any place to have a conversation there. At least an intelligent conversation. They really need to bring people onto shows like that are educated in those topics and can speak about that stuff rather than just blatantly, kind of talking out of their butt about what's good or bad for the industry. So this weekend was a real mess for sure. And the online conversation about video games, or rather about the video game industry in general. I'll be honest with you, Arsis, as somebody who, used to do video game writing and stuff, nobody makes enough money to really be like selling out. The reality is that if you want money, like writing about video games is not the place to do it. I probably make more money right now than I would be making if I was writing about video games professionally. I'm not going to sit there and say everybody makes the best decisions when it comes to, that kind of stuff, but there's definitely cases where where you should question stuff. Like I don't really listen to Kinda Funny anymore because they got very close to publishers and it's like difficult to listen to what they have to say with that stuff because they're not really video game journalists anymore. They're promoters. I know they'll sit there and tell you that like, hey, it doesn't matter, but I mean they went on stage for the Final Fantasy 15 reveal at Square Enix. They're at E3 or EA's E3, presentation. So there's definitely things you should watch out for that kind of stuff. And at that point you have to question, where do their interests lie? But a lot of the like drama, grief, and like this idea that there's a lot of corruption in game journalism, I don't really buy into a lot of that stuff. I will say that game journalism has become more and more about game culture and I don't really have an interest in that kind of stuff. But you know, sorry if that seemed like I came on a little hard or something, but I just like it's just not a lot of. I think most people falsely accuse people who write about games online of things. So, but you know that's why I try to be as like straightforward and honest with my stuff like that. My Mighty Number 9 video having that thing about empty crates at the start, which really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I don't want somebody coming up to me later and being like, "Oh, you were with Inti Creates at the Portland Retro Game Expo in 2015, and you were helping them do stuff at their booth." Not even really helping them do stuff. I literally like closed a box for them, and then ended up doing lunch with them because I closed a box with them. But like, I just want that stuff to be out there and up front because people go crazy on the internet these days. So. $dollars worth of a burger at a Red Robin because of what's his face, Aizu. And yeah, that virtual console stuff, 100% what Nintendo does. That's just like kind of how they are, and I've learned at this point that if Nintendo does something great and cool, but very rarely. I mean, we literally got away from friend codes with the Wii U, yet we have friend codes again. It makes no sense. Like, Nintendo is a nightmare company when it comes to that stuff, and it's just like ever since even during the GameCube era, people were like, "Oh, Nintendo has their broadband adapter," yet they just have no online plan. I don't know how it is now, but I know like that online Super Mario Maker 2 mode you couldn't play with your friends originally, at least. I don't know if they patched it in, but it's just like, yeah, like Nintendo is just a weird nightmare company of decisions. But I love their first party software. I was a big Zelda fan growing up, and I continue to love to watch that series evolve. If Breath of the Wild becomes the standard for that series, I don't know if I'll stick around very much because I'm not a huge open world fan. But I think it's great that they took a risk and they tried to do something new with Zelda, and I think they succeeded in doing something new. Whether or not they, made a great game, I think it is debatable. But it definitely caught the industry by storm, and people love that game. It just maybe didn't fit my interest. So. Yeah, but I mean the problem is that unless you're a company that's not doing well, most people don't really these companies like only are going to do as much as they need to. At some point it's just a scale on a graph and says, okay, if we do this, how much more money are we going to make, kind of thing. At some point, and they look at stuff like that, and they're like, well, this isn't really worth our money to invest in this. So it's baffling, Nintendo's online infrastructure stuff, but they're very successful even without it. So who can really fault them that much? Okay, I think I cleaned the top to this already. Yeah, so I think we're good there. I did not clean these buttons yet. Look at that gunk. Ugh. I know it doesn't really focus, so you can't really see, but I mean, there are a lot of people who would hang me over not playing most Metroid games, so you're in good company here with only playing 2 Zelda games. Zelda's a great series, though, yeah. I did not like Mario Odyssey either, but I was very impressed with what they did with it. I think it was a great game, and when you look at Mario Galaxy and what that game did, it's really hard to ask the question of where does Nintendo go next with the 3D Mario game, and they found the answer to that in variety. They did something like Mario Odyssey is actually very impressive in that most games that try to do a lot of variety um, fail to make a compelling game because you know, when you start putting in a bunch of stuff like, oh, you can control a T-Rex, you know, those parts of the game are not going to control particularly well typically, or at least not as well as the core play style. And Mario Odyssey, I would say, is not an exception to that rule. Like, playing the T-Rex in Mario Odyssey does not feel amazing, but they know when to give you the T-Rex and they know when to take it away, to keep you from really getting like invested in a control scheme that is going to start showing the limitations of what that character can do. So you like any of Sony stuff, Alex, in terms of first party? Like I guess if you were to buy a first party, if you had to commit to like Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo for first party, where would you go in terms of that? I haven't played Mario 3D Land. I did play Mario 3D World, but I don't particularly remember a lot about it. I played it at my brother-in-law's house, and I think we beat it actually, but I don't have like a ton of memory of it. Is that kind of a tumultuous? Is that the word I'm looking for? Tumultuous point in my life. There's a lot of stuff that was going on then. I had just got out of college, and I was kind of having trouble finding work. And then I was having some friendship issues as well with some of my friends. So I played through it, but I think I kind of was distracted by other things that kind of covered up my thoughts of it. And I wasn't writing about games as consistently back then, so I find very quickly that unless I write my thoughts down about a game, like eventually I will forget about them. So I have to really go out of my way to make sure did I clean this already? I think I did. I cover something so I have my thoughts on file. God of War. Okay. I I would say I like PlayStation a lot for third party stuff, but yeah, Nintendo or Sony's first party never really caught my attention. Some of the Japanese stuff does, like Gravity Days and Freedom Wars, stuff like that, but those are few and far between when it comes to Sony first party these days. It's mostly Western development studios. I beat Metroid Prime, but that's another game I don't remember a ton about. The only other Metroid games I've played is Metroid Prime First Hunt and Metroid Prime Federation Force. So I'm definitely in the weird set of games when it comes to the Metroid series. So I think this is fine. Yeah, it looks good. I'll just get this Y button a little wiped down too. Yeah, I would love to like I've so or Microsoft's in third place right now, so they're really doing all they can to get people on board with their platform, and I think that's great. That's always the benefit of having a third place console that isn't in danger of going out of business or something like that. Is that you okay, cool. So this stuff is still on here. Is that you get the benefit of like them trying to really draw people into the system, and Microsoft definitely has that. The biggest problem with Microsoft is they just don't have the third party support at this time, and also they've kind of given up on Xbox One to some extent. I just poured a bunch of rubbing alcohol over myself. They've kind of given up on the original, or not the original Xbox, the Xbox One to some extent. So it's very much just in the maintenance mode at the moment. But I think you're going to see a lot of very appealing things from Microsoft's next platform. Just the big thing is that Japanese developers probably won't be on board either way. Although we're seeing stuff like with Gun Pixies and stuff like that they're not even hitting PlayStation platforms now because Sony won't let them be on their platform. At least not without changing the software. I don't know when I'll play Metroid Prime. I Super Metroid is on my short list of games to eventually play, but it's just not a focus for me right now. I'm a big Castlevania fan, so you would think I would be into like a Metroidvania or Metroidvania. Yeah, Metroidvania. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Kind of game, but I kind of stick close to the Castlevania series. That's kind of why I did the Shaman King thing. And I do need to finish up the Castlevania series at this point, but I don't think I have any Metroidvania Castlevanias left. I think I've finished all those. Yeah, it's interesting because they kind of are in this weird spot where they're publishing on other platforms. They're doing PC, and so when you start thinking about what makes sense for the Xbox as a platform, there's not a lot of answers to that, But game consoles are still a desirable thing, so I don't think they're necessarily wrong for pursuing the market as they are right now. They just have a lot of interest on the face. So it's really, I think, a lot of them providing value to the system. There's like some stuff here, but I think I'd have to actually get some rubbing alcohol on here to clean this off. But I don't want to do that because there's where like the solder points are. So I think I'm just gonna leave those because I think they're probably fine. They're just a little discolored. Some of this music on here is from the Arrange album I just got for First Kiss Story, so it's not actually in either the original release or the PlayStation release. This one in particular is one of them. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what they do. Like, I think Microsoft is given up right now, but when they come into the next console cycle, I'll be curious to see how hard they come swinging into that. Well, yeah, Sony asked about crossplay, but it was during like the PS3 era, and then during the PS4 era, they were pretty much staunchly against it. But thankfully, we're coming a long way. I think next console generation, we'll have no problems with playing between systems, between other platforms. If there's a lot of complaints about Fortnite and like Unreal out there right now, but not Unreal, Epic, sorry. But they definitely pushed hard for that multi-platform stuff. Yeah, that the video game industry is filled with fascinating what ifs, like if the Xbox had Dreamcast backwards compatibility put into it, that would have been cool too. So Resident Evil 4 going on the Xbox, that would have been interesting, but the reality is we ultimately benefited, I think Sony coming in and really changing the market, kicked Nintendo into needing to evolve their business model. And I know Alex, you don't seem very fond of like Nintendo's current approach in terms of like the low system specs and things like that. I think I'd agree with you that the hardware quality has gone down in the recent years, but in terms of like graphical quality and stuff like that, I think Nintendo is not wrong for their approach on what they're doing with that. Especially during the Wii era, I think it was essential to keep the price of that system down. If they didn't, I think the system would have failed. So this one's a bit more gunky around the analog stick. I know you guys can't really see it, but I do think we want to do some cleaning here. So let me see if I can do this with a dry Q-tip first. Ugh, this Q-tip's too frayed. Hey, Blue Rat. How you doing? Welcome to the GameCube cleaning zone. Enjoy the First Kiss Story music. some of this First Kiss Story music has not been heard by anybody in years, I'm sure. So you guys are some of the newest First Kiss Story hearers. What did the PlayStation have happened? I don't know. I think Sony did have an invested interest in getting into the market. So I wouldn't be surprised if some amalgamation of the PlayStation did eventually come out. But Ken Kutaragi, at least if you believe how stories go, there's he kind of pushed developers to why did you donate $100? He's kind of pushed developers to I don't know. I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm not finding the words right now. So he didn't push developers. I don't know why I said that. He was pretty upset with the situation and kind of used that as fuel to kind of push forward Sony's space in the or like participation in the game industry, because it sounded like Sony execs were not particularly happy with going into like them doing the PlayStation and trying to do it on their own kind of thing outside of Nintendo. But I'd have to look at it again. So the you're bored. I don't think there's a way to donate $100 to me on Twitch right now. I don't think I accept any money donations. Eventually I should probably set something up, but really I feel bad taking money, because what's going to help me succeed, like what you guys would really benefit from getting from me, from investing money into me for content outside of this dumb test stream, is you wouldn't get a benefit, because the biggest detractor right now is time. And unless I actually got like a job doing this or something, or doing my other stuff, I wouldn't call this, like, streaming is such a minor part of what I do. But unless I actually like was making a significant income, like, I don't think there'd be any real improvement from somebody sending me money. I think it'd be pretty much typical as what it is right now. Although I guess I could justify buying a better stream setup for this or something. The PlayStation OST is up on the on YouTube, Alex. The arranged soundtrack I cannot find anywhere on the internet right now. Which some of the songs in here are from the arranged soundtrack. So the PCFX version, I cannot find the soundtrack for that on the internet. And I think there is a First Kiss Story soundtrack disc. I think I'm pretty good with what's going on here. I don't think we need to do too much more of anything here. There's a little bit of debris there, but it's probably fine. The PCFX version of the First Kiss Story soundtrack isn't online either, so. YouTube uploads definitely are a big part of it right now. So it's really kind of the quick play stuff. I do the podcasts. Those have been going up on YouTube recently. They used to not be on YouTube because nobody was watching them there for a while. But they go up on like an actual, I forget what it's called, RS or like podcast feed. In terms of, I try to do writing when I can. So like if I find some particularly interesting news posts over the weekend, I'll do some writing on that. But if you go to the website, pretty much everything's there. It's onecontrollerport.com. It's on my list of eventually, Alex. I need to archive a lot of stuff for First Kiss Story. I have a lot of things that are just sitting around. I'm trying to do more archival work actually too. So like I bought the Private Idol desktop accessories disc. So I need to sit down and archive that. I'm doing some other thing right now that's also archive related, but I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm a little worried somebody else might pounce on it first if I get the word out there of what I'm about to cover, because it's actually something I think is fairly relevant for a particular fan base, but I haven't seen any coverage of it. So I just need to. I've done the research for the video already, but it was originally just going to be a post because I just got curious about this topic and looked it up and then found out that found a lot of information that I think not a lot of people have looked at and put two and two together about yet. So I'm working on that. There's also some Final Fantasy 11 data mining I was doing. So there's more of that. I found some character models that are no longer in the game that I need to get up on the cutting room floor. But reality is that basically if there's anything I find somewhat interesting, I try to do it. And I'm very video game focused. But I think if you're following my YouTube, you're going to see a good chunk of it. I'm very video and audio focused right now. I used to do articles almost every week, but the reality is that that wasn't what people who were following me really wanted. So I ended up stepping away from those as much as I like doing articles. So I did write a First Kiss Story article a while ago, or like a blog post a while ago. So that's up there. But I'm trying to remember what else is on there. Let me see. Because I got to clean my GameCube controllers, man. I don't know. I just, these controllers were dirty. And I wanted to clean them out. They've been locked away for years and years, full of gunk. So I was like, yeah, man. GameCube controllers. So I don't know if it's any particularly entertaining, but at least I've had a good time chatting with Alex and Arceus here, and there's a couple other people that showed up earlier, which was fun. So if you want to stick around, chat a little bit. Not sure how much longer I'll go. I do have that other controller we can do, but it is nearly 2 hours at this point. So, oh, did I put all the buttons in? No, I didn't. I'm a silly boy. Let me do that correctly. But yeah, if you're following my YouTube channel, Arceus, you're gonna get the majority of it. And if you listen to my podcast, I'll definitely let you know of anything else that's coming up and getting posted. So, not that you have to listen to it. I'm not saying that you gotta. I encourage you to just only consume what you want to. But basically, the general flow of my YouTube channel is try to have a main piece of content every month. But I'm going to Japan later this year in December. So I'm trying to focus on getting stuff done in terms of planning that. So video content right now is kind of just going to be the more easier to make stuff at the moment. So I would expect maybe at the end of September we'll see something, or early October, but I'm not 100% sure yet because I haven't really figured out what I'm doing with that stuff. So does Nintendo not produce GameCube controllers anymore? Because I thought they were producing them for Smash Ultimate. I haven't bought Smash Ultimate controllers, but I did buy Smash 4 GameCube controller, or one Smash 4 GameCube controller to have a have something new. So yeah, again, don't feel like you gotta. It's a very one of my guests who were on the show a while ago pretty much called it an audio vlog. It's pretty much just where I sit there and talk about the stuff I've been doing every week, mostly video game related. Sometimes it's about other stuff, but honestly, the majority of my life is either focused around work or something video game related. So you're pretty much getting almost a complete picture of my life at this point, which is maybe says something about myself. But you know, it's fine. All right. Okay. These buttons feel good. So the original controllers are better? Okay. I got a bunch of them, thankfully, so hopefully they all work. These ones were playing nice tonight before I even cleaned them, so that was kind of nice. This C-stick does not feel like it's going all the way in, but I think it is in, so I think we're good. I've got probably about 7 or 8 GameCube controllers. Alex probably seen it already, but let me get a special treat for you guys here. I'm too scared to open it to clean it, but I can show you. You probably are aware of what it is, but hey, you know, keep the suspense. That feels good. That all feels good too. Yeah, 80 bucks is pricey, man. I will say I'm always a fan of first-party controllers over third-party, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. It's just, I would imagine the GameCube controllers are probably some of the most expensive since they're still actively being used today in a variety of environments between, you know, GameCube enthusiasts, Smash Brother players, Melee players, people who are playing Smash 5, or Smash Ultimate and Smash 4. You know, there's a lot of desirability behind these controllers, but thankfully, you know, they're relatively available. But I guess they are somewhat pricey. I haven't really looked into the price of them just because I haven't really needed to. And you guys use the Wavebirds? I never got a Wavebird. I know people loved it at the time, though. Sorry, I know my hands getting in the way. I'm not really paying a ton of attention to what you guys can or can't see, so. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the GameCube controller. I've thought about buying the GameCube version of Twilight Princess just because I've only played it on the Wii before, and I kind of want to play it with the GameCube controller. But Twilight Princess is on the GameCube. Is not a cheapish game. It is not expensive, but it's basically full price still for a used copy. I use GameCube controllers for a lot of Wii games as well, but my current Wii's disk drive doesn't work, so I mainly use my Wii U for Wii games at the moment. So originally there wasn't going to be a, I forgot to check the shoulder buttons, thank you for mentioning them. Originally there wasn't going to be a Z button. It was added, I think, by Western developer request. Too many developers complained there weren't enough buttons on the controller. So they added it as a last minute addition, to my understanding. Admittedly, this is something that was passed around the internet like, you know, 5-10 years ago, so who knows how true it is. Also, if my brain is messing up the data, you know, am I remembering it correctly? But I think it was very much a late addition to the controller. GameCube controller is a weird thing in general, so. There's like a quote from Shigeru Miyamoto that says, like, get used to the GameCube controller because this is how every controller is going to look going into the future. Which, you know, he's not wrong that we should get used to the GameCube controller since it's still around. But, yeah, it's not the controller of the future, though. Cool. Let me get that, that little special surprise for you guys. I'll be right back. So it's a little yellowed. I haven't gone out of my way to try to clean it up too much yet, but I used to play Phantasy Star Online on the GameCube, so I got one of these babies. So, cool fun time with that. Get yourself a little keyboard, little Japanese characters on it. But you can tell the keys are yellowed. So, at some point I'll have to like retro bright it if I ever want to restore it. I think, Alex, I think a lot of my... Oh, sorry, I punched my mic. I think a lot of my GameCube controllers probably started having problems because of Melee. I played a lot of Smash. Because I had a lot of analog stick issues with GameCube, so... Yeah, there's two versions of it. There's one that was packaged for Phantasy Star Online 3, and then one that was for the original Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2. So I'm surprised they're not that priced that differently. I don't know if the actual physical controller has any differences, or if it's just the packaging around it. So, but it's a fun little thing, relic of the time. I still use it when I play Phantasy Star Online when I do. So. Yeah, RCS. I think Wii will. I don't know how much I went into this earlier, but the Wii is like it's a very special console. You know, there's a lot of fantastic software on most of Nintendo's platforms. I think maybe the strongest argument about Nintendo platform having a good software is maybe the Nintendo 64. It's not that there's no good games; it's just limited. And you know, being from that era, things don't age particularly well. But the Wii is maybe the second, maybe most controversial system, you could probably say. And, you know, the first-party stuff on that platform is really, really good. But when you look at the third-party stuff, I think what's special about the system is it really forced third-party developers to think like Nintendo when they made their games. And I think the majority of them failed. I think most third-party games on the Wii are plagued with some sort of issue. Because they just didn't do a very good job with, like, you know, implementing motion controls in their game, or they over expected like what the performance of the Wii remote and the nunchuck. It really made developers have to think differently about how they make their games in a very Nintendo-like fashion, and very few games showed actual results on that. But it's interesting to see developers try. Where'd my little disc? Here we go. What's the Sidewinder for again? That name's really familiar, but I'm blanking on what it is. If I recall correctly, I think the Wii U can like natively run GameCube games too, right? It's just the fact that the hardware like is physically unable to, because the components aren't there. But like I think like in terms of actually running GameCube software, it emulates it just as well as a Wii does. I don't know if it's like the PS2 where some PS1 games get messed up, like if the Wii has issues with certain GameCube games. Is a flight stick? Okay, I'd have to take a look at it. Uh-oh. This screw is not playing nice in here. Let's see if we can be a bit more gentle with it. But, or maybe less, not gentle, but more deliberate, I guess. I got a bad feeling about this screw. Okay, we got it. It's moving. Yeah, I was not much of a flight simulator person. I did use a joystick as a kid when we played is it TIE Fighter versus X-Wing when I played a little bit of that. I did use a joystick then, and when I played Jazz Jackrabbit too. But I didn't play any flight games really. We didn't really have any flight sticks around my house. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, 4. Okay. Yeah, I know there's some cases like Alice in Cyberland on the PS2 where, because of the model of PS2 I have, the emulation of certain scenes is not proper. Thousand Arms as well, on PlayStation 2, the model I have, it has some audio issues when you first start it up where the PS1 version doesn't. So, but yeah, I can't think of any instances where the Wii doesn't properly handle a GameCube game. This is a little dirtier on the inside. I think these black GameCube controllers probably got the most use, so they're probably the dirtiest of the bunch. So usually because I knew I was having issues with the indigo and the spice orange, so I think I typically, whenever I reach for controllers, is the black ones. That and these were just definitely the most prevalent controllers in North America because black was the most popular console for this. Popular color for this console in America. Man, this does not want to come out. I think the wire on top is keeping it in. There we go. Try not to drop this. Well, start button still went flying off, but at least it landed at the camera mount. Yeah, the great thing about, you know, even though Nintendo doesn't have the technical prowess of the other platforms, is that, you know, most indie games don't need a lot of technical prowess to at least look good on the platform. You know, whether they run or not is a whole other thing. You know, I think Dead Souls on the Switch is still like doesn't run great, even though, you know, it's a pixel art game. But you know, these games are plenty capable of running on Nintendo's hardware, even though Nintendo's using lesser powered hardware these days. So I missed your comment about playing Dark Souls with the flight stick. That's pretty funny. That's really silly. I do know there's that guy that's like at the fighting game tournament for Evo who's using the Guitar Hero controller to fight. I think I've seen that multiple times over the years though, so I think it's a ongoing thing and not specifically a thing there. I haven't seen that game, but my friend actually has a copy of that. He imported it, I think, or maybe he bought it while he's in Japan. I don't know if he ever played it. I assume he did. I tried to play my Cardcaptor Sakura Dreamcast game, the one where you take photos, but I tried booting it today and it wouldn't boot, so I'm not sure what's wrong with that. I don't know if it's an issue with the game itself or an issue with the boot disk, or if my Dreamcast is just not reading the disk well for some reason, or if it's an issue with the disk. So I don't know. I might mess with it a little more, try to get it working, but maybe the worst case, I don't know if there's like a Dreamcast emulator where I can try to just like run a game off a disk, because that might be the best option for making sure that I can actually, you know, play the game properly, or that the disc is actually reading properly. Go for it. Clean your GameCube controllers. I have a whole box of other controllers over here actually that I will probably need to clean at some point, but I probably won't stream it unless you guys want me to stream it. But this is mostly just to make sure this setup worked. I don't think it's a particularly entertaining thing to do, but you know, glad you guys are here. Glad I'm having a good time chatting. we'll probably work on my Wii disk drive at some point. Try to figure that out. One thing I forgot to do is hook up my other monitor here, because I may display instructions on this other screen I have here for when I'm doing that kind of stuff. So I might hook that up here in a second and make sure that I can you know, run that second monitor at the same time. Let's actually do that right now. Let me I'm gonna mute myself because I gotta take my headphones off to do this. So okay, I'm back. Let me just throw something up on the screen as an example. Hey, we're gonna go on Twitter, I guess. Fake Twitter. I would not use me as a reference for anything for hardware cleaning. There's a very good chance. I wouldn't say there's a very good chance, but I would not be completely surprised if these controllers don't work anymore. But I don't expect there to be any issues. Okay. So let me know if you guys notice any kind of performance drops in the stream or anything while I have this other screen up. But I don't expect anything. Although this TV brightness has kind of come over here and changing the lighting a little bit. So let me put a darker background. You know what? I know where I can go to get a darker background. Oh, I don't have a keyboard over here. Yeah, I am going to probably open every video where I work on something of, hey, I have no idea what the heck I'm doing, so maybe don't use me as a guide, but I will be here doing these things. So I think the problem with the disk drive, I think, Arceus, is I think the laser is actually the real problem, so I don't think I need to replace the entire disk drive per se. But I didn't think about that till afterwards, so now I have the whole disk drive, so I might just go ahead and I'll probably just replace the whole thing because I already have the other parts. My GameCube, the laser doesn't work on for sure. It's been a long time since I've actually used that Wii though, so I need to actually confirm what exactly is wrong with the disk drive. But basically, it won't read the discs, so it could very much just be a laser issue. I'd say very likely probably a laser issue. But I do have a Nintendo 64 controller down here that I need to clean, and I think the stick might need replacing on it, but I'm not sure about that. I haven't opened any 64 controllers yet, so. Ah, I see. I used to joke that Link got stuck on my disk drive because I was actually I was practicing. I did a little bit of, like, for curiosity's sake, I wanted to do the Ocarina of Time speed run where you basically teleport directly to Ganon's castle, and while I was doing that, I was teleporting out of the Goma fight. The disk drive stopped working at that time, so it was like, oh, Link teleported into the Wii's disk drive and is stuck there forever. So I did play Donkey Kong 64 when I was a kid. I don't remember much about it. Unfortunately, I don't own Donkey Kong 64 anymore. I'm not sure what happened to it, if I traded it in or lost it or what. Because it has that banana yellow case, and I'm pretty sure I haven't seen that banana yellow case on my shelf. I got stuck for a while. That stinks. I lost a Sailor Moon VHS to a TV with a built-in VHS player. It was the one where it's like it's based off that fairy tale with the dude with the flute who I think plays the flute and the rats follow him or something out of town, but instead I think it was children or something, and there's candy involved or something like that. I don't remember. It was like a Sailor Moon OVA thing. So in terms of music, when you guys are you know, watching these kind of streams, do you prefer more chill music, or should I try to get some more variety? It'll probably all be video game music, so, but I figured I should probably try to build some kind of playlist out, and I'll probably try to stay away from like bigger games because I don't want to get content swiped for stuff. But I'm guessing QNext is not searching the internet for QNext audio at this point, or First Kiss Story audio at this point, so I thought it'd be a good thing. If I recall correctly, the problem was with Donkey Kong is people thought there was too much stuff to collect in it, and it felt like it was excessive, and like the payoff for collecting stuff wasn't particularly great. But I think I would argue maybe Mario Odyssey has that exact same problem, where the moons are just so common and spread throughout the world that there's no real, at least I don't get any real satisfaction to getting a moon in Super Mario Odyssey. Not that it's a bad game, again, just that part of the game, like I feel like at the end of like a Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine level, I've earned my Sun Sprite or whatever it's called, Shine Sprite or Star. I don't really feel that way in Mario Odyssey, because you can just ground pound the ground somewhere and a star or a moon comes flying out. And there's like a lot of those kind of moons in the level, so. Upbeat music? Okay. I'll probably get a mix of the two, chill and upbeat. I'll probably try to avoid like battle themes or something. But maybe a good example might be like the town theme in Radiata Stories might be more upbeat. That's a fun song. That game is a really good soundtrack. Maybe someday I'll check it out. It's not high on my list, but you know, Nintendo 64 is I'd say it's a kind of prime time for that console right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if more and more people start talking about it. I love that these days, you know, like growing up around the 64 and the GameCube, you hear kind of these bad things about a lot of games, but people are older now, and so like if they were a kid and they enjoyed something, they can really explain what they liked about it versus, you know, a game that reviewed poorly back when it first came out, and people just kind of keep that perception of it. Maybe Castlevania 64 is a good example of, well, Castlevania 64 reviewed pretty well at the time, but there's a period of time where AVGN put out that video, and the Game Grumps also did a video on Castlevania 64. Didn't really give it its full due, so it didn't really it had a pretty negative stigma for a long time, and I think the stigma around Castlevania 64 is slowly disappearing, because I think there are people who played it and liked it when they were kids, and they're finally old enough to make videos and stuff. I got to Castlevania 64 pretty late. I didn't play it till I was 18, so like 2008. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when I'll ever get to Donkey Kong. That'd be interesting though. I'll think about it. I don't know how much it is. I wonder if it's a pricier game. That's where I got my expansion pack though. So I don't think I own Majora's Mask on 64 either. I think I just had the GameCube version. Okay. Trying to see if there's anything in here that I really want to hit still, but I'm feeling pretty good about this right now. There's a little bit of a funk stuck down here still. See if I can Scratch that out there. Need to wash my hands after this. Okay, that's good. A little funk here. It's like the little armpit of the GameCube controller. Oh, this is actually pretty bad right here. Maybe I didn't go down this side of the controller. I'll come back around here real quick. The Q-tip. Yeah, this whole side of the controller is actually kind of gross still. Because I'm talking, I'm not thinking too much about where I'm cleaning, so... Oops, sorry, I smacked my mic on the camera pull thing. Okay. I think Rare made a Donkey Kong 64, right? So I feel like they had a good sense of humor around then, between Banjo-Kazooie and Conker's Bad Fur Day. So I think you do get that that kind of bleeds over to that game. I think all the Kongs having different play styles is actually a very nice thing. I do like characters that like a lot of variety, so. Most Nintendo 64 games play horribly with any controller other than a Nintendo 64 controller. so not too surprising. Ocarina of Time I think works okay with the GameCube controller, but I mean it's still not great. But it works. But stuff like, I know like Jet Force Gemini is like kind of a mess to play on any other console because they ported it to Xbox and it didn't really control well there. I think they added customizable controls because people complained so much. I could see it for Super Mario 64 for sure. The biggest problem with the 64 controller is the analog stick is not fantastic, so it's not particularly comfortable to use either. It is interesting to see the ongoing conversation around like what controllers are accepted in the speedrunning scene for different things. Rare is kind of still around, but yeah, I definitely know what you mean. They're making a very specific game right now. I think they're just doing Sea of Thieves, right? I don't think they've made anything else. I'm sure they'll have something for, you know, the next Xbox platform. So, we'll see what they got. Rare Replay is one of the main reasons why I want to get an Xbox One. That and Crimson Dragon. Yeah, the C stick for like C buttons on the GameCube controller is a little weird too. Oh yeah, D-pad. I've always had issues with some like even the Wii Classic controller. I was not particularly fond of for fighting games. Like the D-pad's very squishy on that thing. So. I think I've gotten more of the hard stuff out, so let's try to go back with the Q-tip now. Can I use this one still? Yeah, I can. I will choose a PS2 fighting game over like a Xbox One D-pad, Xbox 360 D-pad as well, because at least you get the precision even if it's not comfortable. Where Xbox and Xbox 360 D-pads are not precise at all. Xbox One D-pad is solid. I've used mine for many PC games that use a D-pad, and it works well enough. I keep hitting my mic against the camera stand here. It's not in a particularly great place. Let me try shifting over a little bit. Maybe that'll help not smack it so much. If you have a Xbox, I highly, highly recommend Panzer Dragoon Orta. It's a fantastic game. The original Panzer Dragoon, I don't have as strong of feelings for, but I definitely get, you know, aesthetically it's nice. I think the somebody for that series passed away recently, though, right? Somebody who's like a core part of that team. Team Andromeda, I think it was called. Was it the artist? Can't remember. Oh, did you like ukulele, Arsis? Oh, you are talking about ukulele. It was just good. Yeah, yeah. That's that's about how about the response I heard from most people. But you know, hey, people wanted that kind of game. If you haven't before Arsis, it's not like an amazing game, but I recently played Doraemon and the 3 Fairy Stones. That's a pretty solid 3D platformer. Very kids focused though, so I wouldn't like go in there expecting too much, but I imported it for like $5, something like that, and if you emulate it, then like, you know, even less of a commitment there. I forgot to clean this on the other controller, but you know, it's easy enough to do. I should shove this down here as well. Get that gunk and that bunk. Which platform is Tenchu 3 on? I kind of lost track of what Tenchu games came out where. I have Tenchu, whatever the Wii one was. Can't remember. Shadow Dancer? No, Shadow Dancer is a Shinobi game. Can't recall what it's called. Did I clean these already? There's a little bit of funk in these corners either way. It's Nintendo 64. So it doesn't play great, but I recently did a stream on it, and it was fun. It's a fun game. I enjoyed it. It required a little bit of Japanese. Well, maybe it doesn't require Japanese know-how, but it does have a little bit of finicking you have to do if you don't know any Japanese, because there's some items that go in specific places that without knowing the name of you might have a harder time figuring out where they go. Although I think there's literally a point in the game where like a flashlight melts a rock, and I still don't understand why that happened. So. Doraemon! Tenchu is on PS2 and Xbox 360? Okay. I'll play a Tenchu game at some point. I played the original Tenchu on PS1. I liked it. I had a good time with it. But I was also a kid, so... Who knows if... Oh, I should show you guys what I'm doing. I'm like holding the controller down on my lap. Very exciting stream. Okay, I got the start button here. Let me get a little around here too. Dun, dun, dun. That looks fine. This actually looks pretty clean too. I'll wipe it off either way though. Yeah, Super Paper Mario is great. I played that when it came out. It's the game that really got me into the whole like 2D, 3D shift kind of thing. I think I know what Red Ninja is, but I can't remember for sure. I might have to look it up here. I need to play the PS2 Shinobi games at some point as well. Let me search real quick. Red Ninja PS2. Yeah, I remember an X-Play review of this, of all things. It's got a nice look to it. Man, she's got some cleavage on that box art, though. Even though I think her endgame model doesn't have that cleavage. Yeah, her endgame model is covered up, but the box art, her whatever that thing is, kimono kind of thing, is just like split wide open. Oops. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, there we go. Sorry, what game are you talking about, TKG? The strategy RPG game? Sorry if I lost track of the conversation there. I think the problem with Super Paper Mario is it's just not what people wanted at the time. I was excited for it though. I was a big Nintendo fan back then. I was looking for that game, forward to that game even when it was announced on the GameCube. I'd been waiting for it for a while. But yeah, it's a really interesting game. I think some of the characters in that game are probably my favorite as well. I like a lot of the story stuff, and the writing was very good at the time. But I mean, that's also like almost 10 years ago at this point, if not longer ago. Is that 2007 when that came out? So I was 17. So it's a cool game though. I like it. Chances are, if it's a Nintendo game, it's very rare there's a chance that it's actually a bad game. It's usually disappointing at worst. That's true for a lot of video games. Like Resident Evil 6 is not a bad game, but I could see definitely why people think it's a disappointing game. Woo, woo, woo. I need to buy some more rubbing alcohol here. Or isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Running out. I think I got a little too much rubbing alcohol. This thing is burning my nose. Alright, there we go. I think most people didn't like Sticker Star. I tried liking Sticker Star. I'll say the design of Sticker Star is very fascinating, but you know, the implementation is maybe not the greatest. I don't know if Sticker Star or Color Splash is worse. People don't seem to like either of them though. There's also that there's that one Paper Mario one that was like along with Mario and Luigi with Paper Mario or something like that. I feel like that game I heard even less about. I feel like the Paper Mario series is like the only series that Nintendo fans really want. Like, I think people like the Mario and Luigi series, but I feel like Paper Mario is really where people want that RPG experience to be. Yet Nintendo continues to not give that proper experience of Paper Mario. Wait, did you say it was a strategy RPG, TKG? Can't get into turn-based strategy games. Do you mean like turn-based RPG? Is what you mean? Sorry, when I hear strategy, I think of like strategy RPGs, like a Final Fantasy Tactics or a Fire Emblem, or something like that. That's good to know, Alex, because I really like the Ghost in the Shell PS2 game, which ultimately the problem with that game. Oops, I didn't want rubbing alcohol for this part, so I'll use the dry side. The problem with Ghost in the Shell on PS2 is it just doesn't really use any of the mechanics that they give you. So I'm definitely interested in a game like that has more. Well, I guess the difference is that Ghost Shell's like a shooter or something like that. So I'd have to find a shooter that does something along those lines. I'm trying to think of maybe Recore. Recore might be a good shooter to do that, possibly. So, Rowan Carmichael. I don't know if this was on the podcast or it happened between us recording the podcast for Gun Gauge, but he said he liked Recore, I think. Or at least he compared it to Recore. Gun Gauge is a cool game if you guys haven't played it. You should emulate it or something. I don't think I really need to clean this off any further. This seems fine. I think there's like 5 versions of this song on the playlist. I probably should get rid of some of them. If we want to talk about bad games, let's talk about Lady Santa for PlayStation Mobile. I've beaten that game more times than any person should beat Lady Santa. Admittedly, it's like a 5-minute game, though, so it's not like I'm sacrificing much in doing so. Hillcliff Horse, I think is what it's called on PlayStation Mobile as well. That's a nightmare of a game. PlayStation Mobile, it was a platform. You could indeed buy video games on there. Whether you'd want to or not is another thing. So, I think we're gonna actually stream Xbox Live Indie games next week, or this week, I guess I should say, on Thursday. If we finish Tales of the Tempest. If we don't finish Tales of the Tempest, we won't stream it. So we'll probably be in that light style of game next week on stream. If we don't get time to stream it next week, I might stream those games the week afterwards anyways. So yeah, more like typical RPG for that. Takechi. I could definitely see that. I had a hard time playing RPGs when I was growing up. I really didn't start liking RPGs till I was like maybe 16 or so. 15, 16. Uh-oh. My Rumble Pack's coming off. Favorite games of all time? I'll never give you a definitive answer, but I will always say this whenever people ask this question. Skies of Arcadia is one of the first games that comes to mind every single time. I'm a big Skies of Arcadia fan. And, you know, I can't say if it's my favorite game, but it was a very good game, and I think would be worthy of one of my favorite games of all time. It's definitely flawed, though, in some ways. All right. That Z button clicked real nice, so. Did we ever do a PlayStation Mobile stream? I feel like maybe I should do that at some point if I haven't. But maybe we'll do it with the Xbox Live Indie stuff. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember if we did PlayStation Mobile stuff or not. You might remember better than me, Alex. I kind of forget what we do for streams sometimes. So, all right, I think we're good. Let me fill these buttons real quick. Let me hold this down. This C stick doesn't really feel like it's fitting in though. I think it is, but yeah, it looks like it is. Just feels weird. Oh, Dark Souls or Sekiro? I've only played about 5 hours of Dark Souls. I think the first Dark Souls, not Demon Souls. I think that's the one I played. I don't think I played Dark Souls 2. I should get to him at some point, but I never finished it up. Sekiro probably looked like the most likely one I'd go back to if I were to play one, though, in the near future. I didn't have a lot of interest in Bloodborne. But, you know, FromSoft's a cool developer. So. And I've been playing Lost Kingdoms recently, which is from FromSoft as well. But, you know, that's not to say it's like Dark Souls or anything. FromSoft has made many different types of video games. I would like to play a Kingsfield video game some point. That honestly might happen more Dark Souls. If I end up playing a Kingsfield game or something. I forgot to adjust the triggers. Oh, yay. Enjoy your phone. We're almost done anyways, probably. We did not do a PlayStation Mobile stream. Okay, I'll actually think about that. Maybe next time. Maybe we'll have a PlayStation Mobile and Xbox Indie Game stream. Because I don't know if I really have the content to fill out a PlayStation Mobile stream, to be honest with you. Get in there. I do have Chaos Rings on PlayStation Mobile. I should play that at some point. Yeah, PlayStation Mobile you can't download anymore. So unfortunately, I lost Soul Brain 4, which Soul Brain is a scam game. But I bought them because they were scams, because I was interested in seeing what they were like. I think I lost Soul Brain 4, but I think I still have Soul Brain 11. I need to back them up to my PC. Yeah, my friend Anthony was playing Sekiro, and he had a really hard time with it. That screw does not want to go in. He had because there's already a screw in there. But yeah, he had a really hard time with Sekiro. He said playing on PC was better because, you know, he had better load times with solid state on a solid state drive. Where the PS4 version, it just took forever to retry a boss fight. So. I don't know if that's because he was save scumming or if it was just normal load or what. Super Mario Galaxy. I would say that it is a very quality game. I'd say probably one of the best games of all time. If I were to like actually put a game on a pedestal for that, I would say Super Mario Galaxy is one of those. It may not fit the Super Mario 64 Sunshine design that some people want, but it's hyper polished, hyper, like, in terms of like what Mario was doing at that time, very creative game design. You know, like, it took Mario's moveset and was like, okay, we have this moveset, and really the only thing they really added was the spin, right? And if anything, they took things away because you couldn't, like, you know, well, you didn't have Flood from Super Mario Sunshine. You couldn't like punch and kick like you could in Mario 64, or do like dive jumps or like that, all the parkour stuff. But yet they basically asked, you know, how to make an environment that completely changes how Mario plays without changing how Mario plays, and they did a fantastic job of doing that. So I would say it's a very good choice, Super Mario Galaxy. I'd say if I were to say some of the best games of all time, Super Mario Galaxy would probably be very near the top of that list, if not the top. Problem with these little things is that you can kind of kick up the dirt out of them, but actually clean them up is another thing. Just like doesn't want to come out. I think my biggest problem with Dark Souls at the time was that a lot of it was a very punishing game for dying, and it wasn't afraid to kill you. So unlike like we were talking about earlier with Mega Man, where you kind of dust your pants off and kind of keep going again. I felt like Dark Souls, you took a significant death, and like you had to go back to your dead body to get all your souls and stuff. And if you didn't, then you lose them, right? And so like there's a significant amount of stress. So it's something just kind of killed you without you really even knowing like what was going to kill you. I found that kind of frustrating, but it's been many years since I played it, and I only played it for like 5 hours, like I said, so I didn't really give it the opportunity it needed to really stick with me. I have Galaxy 2 on the Wii U. I bought the Virtual Console release when they put it out for like $5. But I have not actually played it yet, so. Just cleaning up some of this side stuff here real quick. Okay. Well, we can plug these controllers in and make sure they still work. Considering they worked from the beginning, if they are anything but still working, then we've made bad progress. So, yeah, Super Mario Galaxy has some great music. All right. You guys get to see Red Ninja over here. There we go. Nice and focused. Get all them Q-tips. One more for the pile. Two more for the pile. Boo, boo. All right. I gotta plug this GameCube back in, so let me do that real quick. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, this is not how I typically stream GameCube games. And this TV is garbage that I'm plugged into over here. But for this specific case, we're using it. Okay. If one of them doesn't work, I'm probably not going to worry about it. I'll probably call... Oh, wow. Hi. Whew. Jump high, Mario. I got to watch this cutscene here real quick. I don't have a Mario Sunshine save data anymore. I lost most of my GameCube save data when one of my GameCube memory cards died. I tried making this 4x3, but this TV is... kind of pure trash. I'm kind of glad you guys can't see the TV more clearly, honestly. So, because it is a nightmare mess. I thought about hooking it up to the CRT over there, but I already had this TV in place, and I know that I'm going to use this TV as a second monitor when I'm doing stuff that I need to follow guides with, so I don't think I can skip these scenes, right? Yeah. Mario? Yeah. In terms of what's coming up, though, I think I talked about it last on the last stream, but got a kind of a, I guess you call it a long play of Kenshin Zenki for the PCFX. So that's coming up. That'll be up on the website on Wednesday. I'm also have the podcast coming up on every Monday as usual. Probably finish up Tales of the Tempest on Thursday on the stream. So we'll finish that up, and then if there's any spare time, then we'll play those Xbox Live indie games or PlayStation mobile games, whatever we end up doing. And I think after that, we're gonna maybe do some Valkyria Chronicles DLC, or maybe we'll play a short game. I'm thinking about maybe the Girl and the Robot, or Gun Valkyrie, or something else that's like maybe a 2 to 6 hour game. And then kind of figure out what longer game we'll end up playing from there. Press the R button. And then, yeah, I'll start working on that other video once I really what I have left for Japan is I have my hotel rooms all set up for that. And I have my plane tickets and all that stuff. And I kind of got a general idea of where I'm going. There's a couple of things I still want to work out. And I need to get reservations for a couple shows, but I do need to figure out if I need to get a rail pass still. So actually, right after this, I'll probably contact a friend of mine and ask their opinion on how long of a rail pass I should get. I know I'll get 7 days at least, but I might need 14 days depending on what shows up. So Mario. Jump, Mario, jump! Is that Got Milk commercial? Jump, Mario, jump! That's cool. I've seen a lot of debate over the quality of Mario Sunshine. I really don't have a strong opinion on it. I know when I was a kid, I preferred Mario 64 over Sunshine, and I had some friends who were really into it. And they enjoyed it. I never 100%ed this game, yet I 100%ed Mario 64 twice between the DS version and the 64 version. You know, obviously they're kind of different games to some extent, but this feels good. This is the black controller, but like I said earlier, there wasn't any problems with it earlier, so my expectation is that these would feel good. So. All right. One thing I didn't try earlier. Let me see. Can I get over to this side, because this actually would be a better place to try this out. Yeah. Kind of just want to see if when I move between different directions, if I slow down. I feel like that was a problem that I had with these controllers. Like, if I went from running forward to like running at an angle, I would slow down because it wouldn't properly align. But that seems fine. Let's try the Spice Boy, Orange Spice. Okay. Those fish are red coins. Fish. I was like, I don't think there's red coins at this stage of the game. I think you can come back here and do some a red coin challenge, but yeah, I don't know if I'll ever replay Sunshine. You know, I would love to, but the reality is that there's so many other games that I need to play that replaying games is not typically on my list of things to do unless I have a reason to do so. In terms of content coverage and stuff like that. So, oh, interesting. I thought I got like on the ledge a little further there when I was on the first person mode, but it doesn't seem like that happened. I forgot to check the Z button on the other one, but probably fine. All right. And Indigo. This Indigo controller might be my original GameCube controller. I can't remember if I bought any additional Indigo ones. Yeah. This feels good. So I think we had a successful cleaning, and then I'll just have to use these controllers more and see if they start to mess up over time for some problems. And after I opened it up and cleaned it up, it was fine, but then it stopped detecting the up motion as well as it did before. I'd basically be running slower if I was going directly up. So yeah. Yeah, the blue coin stuff in this game in particular probably is what really kept me from 100%ing it. I may have gotten all the actual shine sprites that you can get, but then the blue coins, I looked at those and was like, eh. So, Mario, your foot. He's tapping. All right, well, I think that's it. Thanks for coming. I think this is a pretty, like, I do see there's some dropped frames during this stream, but it's pretty minor stuff. So I think we'll be okay to do some. I'll set this up because I'm reusing components from my other stream setup, so I'm having to, you know, pick them up from my other room and bring them back here. But you know, we'll figure out what to do with this soon. I don't know if this is going to replace a Thursday stream or if it will, you know, doing this kind of stuff will replace Thursday stream or if it'll be kind of its own thing. I'm going to guess maybe replace, but who knows. I haven't really made any solid content plans for this yet, other than just I have some stuff set aside that we can do. So, cannot spray these seagulls. But yeah, thanks you guys for sticking around for chatting. I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys, you know, see you guys continue. For those that are new here, I stream every Thursday typically at 7 o'clock Pacific time. So unfortunately, I know that doesn't work out for everybody, but it's basically just the time I chose. So if you come on Thursdays, I will be there, with the exception of when I'm in Japan in December probably. So that will probably be the one time you won't see me. But I'll try to probably figure out. I'll probably have some kind of content lined up so you guys keep getting videos and stuff while I'm out of the country. So, but yeah, you guys have a great night. If you haven't been there before, onecontrollerport.com is the website. Yeah, ours is go to bed, get some sleep. All right, you guys have a good night. See ya.